Are we ready to talk about the GPU Scalpocalypse actually being over? Can I hot take again?
Yeah, because I feel
Are
like
you ready?
I might have one as well, but yeah, go for it.
Okay, for the first time in over a year, GPU pricing is down to just 12% above MSRP in Europe, specifically in Germany and Austria. German tech news site 3D Center recently published their findings analyzing the price trends over time with detailed tracking from January of 2021. They show the initial spike in demand following a boom in Ethereum pricing, followed by a slower increase in spite of high ETH pricing thanks to increasing supply, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If this trend continues, GPU prices may be mostly normalized by May, June. It is worth noting that 3D Center excluded the 3090 Ti from the graph since it wasn't available till recently and arguably isn't really all that available anyway.
Fair enough.
All right. With averages across the lineup falling, one GPU has stood out as consistently above MSRP, the 3080, which is highly sought after as the reasonable high-end option, at least compared to the astronomical pricing of the 3090 and 6900 XT. And Anthony notes, anecdotally, local computer shops are still selling way above MSRP for both teams, but prices are getting lower. Here is my tinfoil hat conspiracy theory hot take. Are you ready for it?
Yes. Let's see if it's the same as mine.
It is late April, which was supposedly Intel's launch date for Arc. So the whole thing was fake. There was no inflation. There was no increase in component prices. It was just what the market will bear, and you, the consumer, can go yourself. Because if they were able to turn on the spigot, that the timing is so perfect. The Arc's not here yet, so I think a lot of people might not necessarily put this together, right? But this is when Arc was supposed to arrive. So the fact that Arc isn't here yet means we're not quite at what prices are supposed to be, because there isn't actually a competitor to respond to, but they clearly have built enough boards and altered the flow of these cards, because you got to remember, these are decisions that are made months ahead of time, right? These are projections.
Yeah.
We are seeing cards in the market today that were projected anywhere from 3 to 9 months ago, right? So they had no way of knowing that the production that they were doing today was not going to have a competitor to compete with. So it's still going to drive pricing down, because there is still competition between board partners, for example, who all want to shift through the GPUs so they can get more allocation, so they can sell more GPUs. But for NVIDIA and AMD themselves, they got to be kind of sitting there going, where else shoot? Because Arc ain't actually here yet. But here we are.
My version of this is I don't think it's over. I think this might be, and I could be wrong, and I hope I am. But I think this might be a short breather between spikes. I think with the neon supply, as is noted in this document, impacting chip production, we read an article, I think it was a couple weeks ago, about how right now we're struggling with chips. Sorry, maybe both, to be honest. Knowing this community, but right now we're
got 99 problems, but a chick ain't one.
Right now we're struggling with chips, but it's looking like in the future we might be struggling with wafers, because wafer production is potentially falling behind, and yada yada yada.
Yes.
So I have a feeling that we might be kind of finally okay, we have a little bit of a breather, and then people are going to go, oh, I can buy graphics cards again. Demand is going to potentially go back up because of that, and then we're going to run into this wafer trouble and this neon trouble and all this kind of stuff that's just looming around the corner, and I think we might spike back up in regards to GPU prices. Don't just spend all your money on a GPU now and then scream at me in 6 months when the price doesn't go up, but I have a feeling it's not over.
At the end of the day, though, how things are priced. A GPU is sand, There's sand, there's production costs, right? There's R&D, right? There's the facility that it actually has to be built in. There are people that actually have to run this facility. That cost, that material and labor cost, is not reflective of what is charged for the final product. At the end of the day, it is priced based on what the market will bear, not priced based on what the actual cost is. So what we're learning is that, yes, inflation is a thing. Yes, materials prices are going up. But if push came to shove, there was enough margin in there that like they could have done it. So that's the tinfoil hat.
I mean, it's not really just sand, right? Like you can't just like go to the beach and make a CPU.
Yes, I know. But the point is, I had a contractor tell me that there had been an increase from their 2021 to their 2022 rates of like 60% on some aspect of our bill due to inflation. And I'm sitting here going, oh, okay. Did that vehicle you already owned go up in price 60%? Did you actually if I go talk to the person driving it, did they get a 60% raise? I just want to understand what is inflation to you?
No, that's good.
Did your costs actually go up? Because
that's epic.
Our costs have gone up. LTD store, our costs have gone up on water bottles, on t-shirts, on transport. They've gone up. But the thing you got to understand is that when a cost on something goes up, that doesn't necessarily immediately mean that the end price just goes up by that amount. Okay, let's talk wafers. When wafer costs go up 200%, that doesn't mean that CPUs need to go up 200%.
Yeah.
Because of the cost of creating a CPU, that wafer might only be 2%. So when it goes up 200%, we might only be talking about, a 4% increase in the total cost to produce this product. And when you look at the margins of a company like an Intel or an Nvidia, could they have absorbed 4% for you? Yeah, they could have. They sure as heck didn't need to, because you do the math the other way, right? If they actually do double the price, they are now making 96% more. Like I'm not saying those numbers are right. I'm saying that the truth is somewhere in between.
Yeah, and everything that I listed was more of a like supply and demand situation, right? Like neon being less available is a supply and demand situation. The wafers,
and that could raise costs.
Yeah, and wafer production is very difficult. And like spinning up a new facility that can produce a wafer is not exactly the easiest thing ever. So there's going to be a supply and demand problem there as well. It's not necessary. The costs aren't going to necessarily go up because acquiring a single unit of this item became more expensive, but it's going to go up because like people are going to buy it pretty much regardless. So you just increase the price, just keep going up.
Thanks for watching, and thanks to Secret Lab for sponsoring this week's clips. Secret Lab chairs are engineered to keep you comfy, and with up to 5 years of warranty and a 49-day return policy, you're covered if anything goes wrong. Head to the link in the description to get your Secret Lab chair today.